Good. Yes. Excellent.
Some random reason my video intermittently works and then doesn't work. It does me head in, but I am here.
Sure. Excellent and good to see you. Well, see you as in,
Yeah,
metaphorically.
Are you taking the
I see your name.
That was a poor choice of words. Excellent. Anybody have any news for us?
Oh, actually, I do.
Yeah.
I
Go
can't
for it.
remind of it. I think it's good news. I've been waiting a long time for it, but today, I suppose a bit of background. My very first win with TSD was having the courage to go to the doctors about a problem where I've had for years and years and years, but I felt too ashamed because of my weight to do anything about it.
Okay.
So within my first week of joining TSD, I went to the doctors. 2.5 years later, and I've been getting different things done, and then things went really crappy last year. Today, I've been fast-tracked into having a hysterectomy, and I've got the date, which is the 2nd of April. So it's a little bit like I'm having a bit of a oh my God moment this morning, because I was like, oh my God, I've got 2 weeks to get everything sorted at work. It's our client's year end and nobody does my work. And I have no cover, literally. My boss asked us if I needed cover because I'd only be off for 2 weeks. And I was like, I think I might be off for a little bit longer than 2 weeks, unfortunately.
Yes, to Tad. Yes.
So it won't be like when you're on holiday and you'll just come back and catch up. I went, no.
No, you won't be coming home sporting a new tan.
So I'm actually, I'm very nervous because I know it's a big deal.
Yeah, of course.
I'm concerned about how I will deal with my recovery. When I had an eye up when I was in TSD, I was very impatient.
Okay.
But I could do stuff, but I was limited, but I'll be even more limited. And I think I'm going to drive David insane. I do already, but I think I'm going to be even worse. So I need to watch myself, basically.
That's and I think this is a good discussion point, right? Because we do encounter situations, right? And this is fantastic news, Deborah. I'm so delighted that you have a date and finally we're moving forward. But where we have situations where it's going to cause us to have to take a step back, we're going to have to take a break, we're going to have to reduce our exercise and things like that. So how do you think we are best to manage such a scenario where we want to maintain our motivation, our confidence, or keep moving towards our goals, but where we've got to take essentially a step back in order to take 2 steps forward? So what do you think is going to be important?
I think for me is recognizing what I can control and what I can't control, which is what I didn't recognize last year. The key thing what I didn't recognize, I blamed myself for everything going crap last year, and it wasn't. It was obviously what's like the reason I'm having the operation. So that's one of the key things for me, because I've spoken to you, Aoife, it triggered negative self-talk, and I just really believed it, and couldn't get myself out of it for a long time. So I'm not going to let myself go back down that route, because it just didn't serve me at all. But I know me. I know what I'm like, and I'm worried. I'm stronger than I was. I'm better than I was, but I'm still worried.
And that's what
it's only natural to be worried, isn't it?
Very good. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's being showing yourself self-compassion. And talking to yourself, and when you do get annoyed with yourself, it's allowing that, but then sort of talking to yourself and saying, that was just one occasion and we're all right. It's just as you would a friend, really.
Exactly.
That's what I need to try and do.
That's a great perspective.
But
how would you support a friend in recovery, and you do the same for yourself?
I'm much more patient with friends than me.
I think we all are, aren't we?
So it felt like a big thing, really. It was a big thing going to the doctors the very first time, and they never even mentioned me weight. It was me thinking they would mention me weight, convinced myself they'd mention me weight, because obviously at my heaviest I was 17.5 stone, so it was like I couldn't bear going. And I never went to the doctors at all. I've only really started going in the last 2 years. It's crazy, put myself at so much risk, but never mind.
I was just going to say, Deborah, that our words have what we say out loud has got such a massive impact that it's important that what you say out loud about this is stuff that's positive. Don't, try not to be allowing yourself to say that I'm not very good at that. Or
Peter actually said something to us which is really stuck in my head. So obviously Peter's my husband, and he just said, just think, Deborah, once you get this done, there's nothing to hold you back now. You've already lost weight, and then this is the final thing. You've got nothing left to hold you back. So I'm hanging on to that, to be honest, Jane, because it's like, that is such a positive, because he's right. I'm not living the life I had before, because I've never lived this life, to be perfectly honest. This is a whole new a whole new life for me, and one I never dreamt I could have. So once I get this little bit of the jigsaw sorted, I do another tough mudder. You never know.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like
I'm going to hold you to that.
It's like saying, the person who struggled last time has learned such a lot about why you struggled and how to get through it, that you're bound to be better at it this time. Because
absolutely, absolutely,
But so sorry, that's my news anyway.
But and it's great. It's great news. And again, remember, we're all be here to support you through it. And the main thing is, and I think, and Jane said it there, that when we go through these experiences, they're tough at the time, but we do learn about ourselves, and we do learn about what works and what doesn't work. And we use that going forward, and that's how we adapt. And that's how we, again, and I understand, fearing going down the dark hole is very normal, particularly when we've been down that dark hole before. But what we have to remind ourselves is that it's down to us whether we're going to put ourselves down there or not. Right? And it might be bringing you in, which you're saying, no, sorry, not going down there. No.
Exactly. I'm going to work really hard not to go, because it wasn't a very nice place to be. And I struggled incredibly. It was really, really tough. And I'll be honest, sometimes I didn't think I'd get out of it, but I did. That's the key thing, I did. And I have been, since I went on holiday at the beginning of the year, and since the 13th of Jan, I feel like I feel happy and back in control and able to deal with things better. And I talk about it more. I never talked about it before, part of the problem. So
we're all here to cheer you on.
We are. Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. I'll keep
Next time I'm on, I might be in my pajamas.
Oh, sounds good. Do we have anybody new joining us this evening?
Yes, Sharon.
Sharon, how are you? Welcome.
Good. Thank you. Sorry, I was a bit late. It took me a while to get to grips with the Zoom, but I'm here.
Yeah,
delighted to be here.
Time. So well done. So Sharon, just to fill you in, right? So what we're going to be doing this evening, we'll have our topic of discussion, and what we do is we'll be in the chat for the first part. So type it into the chat down the bottom. You'll see that chat button. You click into that and you can type in. And then what we do is we go off to the breakout rooms and we'll have a chat about the topic, and then we'll all come back in and we'll have a chat about to round it off. So we'll go ahead and get started. And tonight's topic is going to be all things, so body image. And into the chat, I want you to pop in your thoughts about what comes to mind when we think about body image. So when you hear that term body image, what do you think about? What do you visualize? Into the chat, what comes to mind? No right or wrong answers. Just want to get some thoughts. So Clarissa's saying fat. Woo, it's very harsh. So we're right in there with the critic and with the harshness and with our judgment. And so oftentimes, we have a negative perception of body image, and we see body image as being something quite negative. Yeah, very good. And unrealistic models, very good, Jennifer. Yeah, and particularly in the now day and age of all the computer animated and editing and everything else that they do and all the rest of it. Very good. Excellent. And comparing yourself to people who seem perfect, very good. And the photoshopping of models in the media. Photoshopping, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Jane. Yes, excellent. And yeah, absolutely. And then that process of comparing ourselves. Yeah. And again, we're going to be putting ourselves down, criticizing ourselves, judging ourselves. Yeah. Deborah, avoiding your reflection. Yeah. And getting photos taken. Oh, yeah. And another good example. So again, that would be really conducive with a negative body image. I don't want to look at myself and I don't want anybody to take photos of me. Good examples. Yeah. Haley, ugly because I'm fat and comparing myself to the photoshops again with the very harsh criticism, judgment. So again, looking at all of these different aspects that come into body image. Yeah. Very harsh, Haley. And Jane, thinking you're bigger than you are. Ooh, very good. Yeah. And just thinking about how our perception of ourselves, yeah, can change. Very good. Yeah, excellent. And Ruth, thinking that I'm fat or larger than I really am when I look in the mirror. Yeah, very good. It's a really interesting. I was actually a couple of my students are doing a project at the moment looking at the brain and looking at, you know, really in-depth brain studies. And there's some really interesting studies that have looked at that, about the perception, how our brain makes sense of the image that we see in the mirror and how it alters that image. It's really fascinating science. But yeah, absolutely. And again, how that's not accurate. Yeah, very good. And Benny would say, I've never been happy with my body image. Yeah. And again, very common that we kind of go through life with a body image we're not happy about. Very good. And Jane says, thinking that you're taller than you are after getting a shock when you realize you're wrong. Very good. And Jen's agreeing with you. Yeah. And Jane said, actually, I meant to say taller. Smaller. Yes. Thinking you're smaller than you are. Very good. And Jen T.
I'm 5 foot nothing, so I would love to be taller.
Smaller, taller. Yes. Again, it's all perception. So yeah, very good. And Jen T's getting eating disorders because of impossible standards of beauty. Yes, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But you're absolutely right. The messages that are being sent out there, people are being bombarded with these messages and it doesn't do us any good. Yeah, very good. Benny's saying, I don't like my photo taken. Again, that discomfort that we get from it. Jane, being taught what the world thinks we ought to look like and knowing we fall short. Very good. And again, even just in terms of that perception of this culture, because this is not written down anywhere. Culture changes for lots of different reasons. So you take, you know, Marilyn Monroe's time. She was the ideal woman, whatever the ideal woman is, but she was that sort of poster girl. And then you look at the 90s and it moved into these sort of 6'2", super skinny, you know, supermodels, Naomi Campbell and the likes of it, you know, and again, there's no right or wrong here. It's just that culture has shifted. But the culture at the time and the messages that the culture send out have a huge impact on us. Very good. And Sati's saying body dysmorphia. Very good. Yeah, excellent. And particularly, as we said there, with eating disorders. So oftentimes, say for younger children, for example, if they have eating disorders, and you'll say, I want you to draw me a picture of you. And oftentimes they'll draw themselves as much bigger than they actually are. So we know their perception of themselves has been changed. Yeah, very good. Haley, since losing weight, I still cannot guess size in the shop and keep having to change down to smaller sizes when trying them on. Very good. Yeah. And again, going down to that perception, because it's changing and we're trying to make sense of it, right? But it's hard. Very good. And Sadie, having a negative self-image about myself, but when others give me compliments, it's hard to believe. Yeah. And again, I suppose it's because we're getting compliments. We've got this negative self-image. We're getting in compliments that don't seem to match our self-image. So we can't really make sense of that. So what happens? Something's got to give. Well, I've been holding on to this negative self-image for a long time, so I think I'll stick with this. And your comment just goes out the window, right? Because it's, again, our brain, it struggles to make sense of that kind of conflicting information. So it'll just go to what it's used to and to what it's always known, because that's easier. That makes more sense, even though it's not accurate. Very good. Yeah, excellent. And Jennifer, Barbie dolls are unrealistic too. Excellent. Yeah, very good. And Deborah, you're obsessed with your image, can only see your weight and assume that's all other people will see too. Very good. And not see you as a person. And that's such a good point, Deborah, because it's a bit like when we sort of turn that spotlight on ourselves and we're kind of focusing in on all the things that we don't like about ourselves, then we assume that everybody else notices that and that's all they're focused on, etc. Very good.
I had an example of that at the weekend. Sorry to put in, but I met some friends who I worked with about, I worked with them for about 15 years and I haven't worked with them for about 7 years now. And one of the photos was one of our last photos was when we'd met up for one of the managers retiring, and it was in the June 21 as I joined TSD in the August. And they all said, I can't remember you looking like that. And I can't remember you being like that. And I was like, well, where's the photograph? I was that big. And then Leslie really surprised us. She went, because I used to be a stress head when we used to go out. I used to be buying new tops. I'd be in teas before I went out and all of this. And she said, I can just always remember thinking, oh my God, Deborah looks absolutely gorgeous. And I feel like a right scruff now because I feel like I haven't made the effort. And you know, when you're just thinking, like I used to spend hours crying before I went out because I used to feel like a big fat blob and so uncomfortable. And yet she thought I looked lovely. And you know, when you just think, oh my God, I wish you told us at the time. And then you think, even if you told us, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah,
because
exactly. Because it goes against that information. Yeah.
So like you just say you're weird, but they like my friends. Obviously, I'm not saying everybody's like that, but my friends saw me as the person. But I never thought that. I always thought they would just see the weight first, then me. And I couldn't get past the weight, basically.
Very good.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, and it's a great example because it just goes to show you how fixated we can become on these things. And then we assume that everybody else is fixated. And then when suddenly somebody's saying, oh gosh, I never noticed, or I just knew you as you, and God, has something changed here? And you're thinking, oh, it's a bit
apparently
odd.
I've always had good legs. Who knew?
Oh, there you go.
I didn't know I had good legs. I thought I did them quite well.
Very good.
It's just mental. It was just a bit of an eye opener on Saturday. I was just sitting there thinking, oh my God.
Yeah. Excellent example.
But it was nice, but it's a good example for this.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, fantastic.
I was pulled apart from what they were thinking, basically.
Yeah, brilliant. And Sharon is saying it stopped me participating in so many things. Yeah. And again, how it holds us back and all the opportunities and all the fun times and all the social occasions. And yeah, such a good point. And Jen, the compliment is because you're my partner, family, friend, etc., not because it's true. Oh, very good. Yeah, exactly. It's the same with kids when you say, oh, and oh, my mom tells me I'm great, but she has to say that because she's my mom. It doesn't count. And we carry that through as well when we go into adulthood. And sure, they're only saying that because they're nice people and they care about us. And yeah, very good. And Jennifer, beauty comes from within. It sure does. Yeah, excellent. Very good, everybody. And again, as we can see there, that predominantly, right, what we've been saying there is looking at body image as a negative thing. And we have to change our perception of that, right? So body image, let's just go through some facts and figures here. Body image is how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror or you think about yourself in your mind. It also includes the way we think, emphasis there, as we saw with Deborah's story, we think other people see us. And people usually either have an overall positive body image, where again, generally you mostly feel good about yourself. Doesn't mean you're going to think you're perfect or you're going to think everything is great or there isn't something you'd like to improve or work on, of course. But for the most part, you're like, yeah, happy enough. Yeah. Or you've got a negative body image when you feel less positive about the way that you look or you feel. So again, this is where we start to tilt to the other side and we're very much seeing it through that negative lens. Very closely linked to our self-esteem and how we feel about ourselves as well. And Clarissa's saying there, intimacy difficult. Yes, and that's it. And thinking about all of those different situations where we have to be vulnerable, we have to be intimate. Deborah gave another example earlier on about saying fearing going to the GP, for example, or we don't want to reach out. All of those situations where we hold back. Again, for fear of what? What is the other person going to think? How are they going to judge me? And then what comes from that as well, the consequences, right? But again, that's in our heads, right? It's how we see ourselves. We assume everybody else sees us in the same way. They don't, right? Now, also linked in there is body image with our self-esteem, right? So that's also going to be interconnected. So you can imagine if we're saying to ourselves, right, well, I'm good in my job or I'm good in my family life to do great work in the community, whatever it is that we do, but then we've got a very negative, right, image of ourselves in terms of our body image. You know, that's going to affect our self-esteem. You know, again, we're not looking for positive, perfect body image, but we need it to be overall positive body image, right? Where we mostly feel good about ourselves, because that's going to have a knock-on effect, right, for our self-esteem. And Deborah's saying, I could never understand why Peter was still with me because I felt so fat and ugly again, so harsh. But again, there's that, it's all to do with our perception. I'm judging myself based on X, Y, and Z. So other people must be judging me on X, Y, and Z, right? They don't. We're all too worried about ourselves, right? To be going around and spending all of our time thinking about this, that, and the other, judging somebody about this, that, and the other. And if we're sitting around and we're judging other people, well, that says more about us than it does about them. Right, and Clarissa's agreeing there. Okay, so let's first look at a positive image, right? So it means we're comfortable in our own skin. Again, it doesn't mean we think that we're Peter Perfect, but we're comfortable in our own skin. We're happy with the way that we look. We generally feel good about ourselves, right? We place less emphasis or importance on our looks and more importance on who we are as a person. So we're not striving to be X height and X type of body look and all these types of things. It's more a case of, I want to be fit, I want to be healthy, and I want to be well, right? And how that image then is created is, and I'm happy with the fact that I'm fit and I'm healthy and I'm doing my exercise and I'm doing X, Y, or Z. And I'm not perfect, but that's just the way it is. And positive image is also achieved by really realizing that people come in all shapes and sizes. And that's very important because we have to have variations in our genes, right? If we all have the same genes, well, that would be a scary world that we would be living in, right? And that's how we've learned to adapt. And that's how we as a species have been able to move on, because we've got variations in our genes. But the reality is when we've got variations in our genes, we're going to be different shapes, we're going to be different sizes, we're going to be different heights, we're going to have different fitness levels, we're going to look differently. All of these different things are going to be different. And that is important. We need variation, right? But also recognizing that at some stage we all do feel awkward, right, about our bodies and how we look. And it's normal to go through these periods. And indeed as well, when you're going through these periods of change and you're getting in, you're doing your excellent exercise and your workouts and your fitness, and your body starts to change, and you can start to say, geez, this is different. And I'm not quite sure how to manage this and how I move forward with it. And again, that's normal. It's normal that we can kind of go through this awkward stage. Okay, so this is again what we're aiming for. This is what we want to have, is that positive body image, right? Happy with who I am as a person, how I look. I'm working on my fitness, I'm working on my health, right? And it's all taken along nicely. Okay, negative body image, into the chat box. Can anybody give me some examples of what it might be like if we have a negative body image? Can somebody give me some examples into the chat? What do we think? If we have a negative body image, right, how might we describe that? I'm thinking as well of the impact that it can have on us. So what do you think? Negative body image. So we don't look in the mirror for a lack of confidence. Very good. Yeah. It impacts our personality. Yeah, very good. And our confidence and our self-esteem. Exactly. Because you can imagine if we have confidence in ourselves and we're walking into a room full of people versus where we just want to hide away, that has an impact on our personality. It has an impact on how we're going to interact with everybody that's in that room. Yeah, very good. Excellent. And so Jennifer is saying nobody will like or love me if I look like this. Very good. So again, that negative self-talk is quite frequent. And we're also sort of talking ourselves out of scenarios of saying, well, there's no point in going on a date with somebody, or there's no point in connecting with that person because they're not going to like you or they're not going to love you. Very good. Yeah. And Ruth, we dress to disguise our body shape. Very good. Yeah. Excellent. So again, it's another way of kind of hiding away, isn't it? Where we're still out and about, but we're hiding ourselves away. Yeah, very good. And Jane, feeling like you need to get yourself sorted out so you're more perfect. Oh, yeah. But knowing there's no way that it will ever happen. And again, to be more perfect. I mean, what does that even mean? But yeah, excellent. And Benny say as well, wearing baggy clothing. Yeah. To hide our body. Excellent example. Yeah. And Sadie, if I don't feel good about myself, how can I expect someone else to? Very good. Yeah. And again, putting thoughts in other people's heads. We make assumptions. We make assumptions about how they're going to treat us, how they're going to think about us, how they're going to view us. Yeah, very good. And Sharon's saying, when I have a negative body image, my world is smaller. Yeah. And I go out less. Very good. And again, it does, doesn't it? Because we're saying no to opportunities. People might be saying, oh, come out and do this, that, and the other. No, I better not. Yeah. And again, what happens? Our world shrinks. I love that. The world gets smaller. Yeah, very good. And Haley, insecure, depressed, hideaway. Yeah, stop living life to the full. Yeah. Not engage or join in. Hate towards myself. Feelings of inferiority. Very good. Yeah. Wearing bland or dark clothing. Yeah, to avoid attention, even at a fancy event. Jen, very good. Excellent. Making sure that you're a team person, taking the photos that you're not in them. Oh, very good. Yeah, I'll take the photos. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't need to be in them. Very good. Yeah. Sally, will I ever feel good about myself? Work in progress, ATM. Very good. So kind of questioning, am I going to get to a place where I can accept myself? Yeah. And again, remember that acceptance comes from within. It's not going to come from somebody else. It has to come from here. And Jennifer, feeling inferior to others. Oh, that's a good one. And thinking about, how we place a value on ourselves as humans. Again, we all have equal value. It doesn't make sense that different humans would have different value, but we do place a value on ourselves. And again, based on our perception of our worth, and again, whatever list of things that you're using to determine your worth, right? Then you're going to say, well, I'm inferior to them because they have X, Y, or Z, or they look like X, Y, or Z. Very good example. Yeah. Sally, go to the back of the photo. Oh, go to the back of the photos. Yeah, very good. Because I'm tall and I only have to show my face and not my whole body. So again, hiding ourselves away. Yeah, very good. And again, then what we do is we look back, in future time and say, I wish I'd taken more pictures. I wish I had more, pictures from that event or this or that, because that was great. But again, we realize how much that poor self-image, that negative self-image of ourselves, it had a big impact on our behavior. And then, yeah, as a result, we're thinking, oh, I wish I had more photos. Very good example, Sashi. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, you all hit the nail on the head there. So when we think about a negative body image, we don't like our body, or we can also become preoccupied with a specific aspect of it. So a person with a negative body image will often have thoughts about the ways that they would change their bodies if they could. So they might say, I want to be more muscular, I want to be taller, I want to be a particular shape, I want to be this or that. And we spend a lot of time. And talking about body dysmorphia and things like that earlier on, it can become an obsession, right? Where we're really spending a huge amount of time. Again, problems with our body image is when they become intercepted with the value that we're placing on ourselves, right? And again, if we're thinking, well, I'm a lower value because I look X, Y, or Z, and I think I should be, again, I should be this, that, or the other, then we're going to struggle in terms of our happiness, and even just in terms of being accepted by others. It might feel a bit strange. Because again, we perceive that, but people are always going to reject me and people are not going to want me and X, Y, or Z. Yeah. And so we might have a negative body image if we're constantly thinking about our body, or if we're always worrying about a certain feature as well. And Jennifer's saying, look, I'm always at the front as I'm short, and then look bigger as closer to the camera. And again, our perception, right? Looking at ourselves in that photograph and thinking about, we're putting on the glasses of, I don't like my body, right? And then we look at the photo and it's like, oh yeah, there's all the reasons that I don't like it. Instead of actually looking at ourselves with what we were talking about earlier, compassion and self-love. And then we see the things that we like and the things that we accept. We're not perfect, but we accept ourselves, right? Just to, you know, again, just to remind ourselves, totally normal. 1 in 5 UK adults have felt shame because of their body image in the last year, right? And again, shame does us all sorts of damage. Over 1/3 of UK adults have felt anxious or depressed because of concerns about their body image. So again, 1/3. That's for every 3 people you're talking about, at least one of those people has felt anxious or depressed, right, about their body image. It's very normal. Okay, so what do we think some of the consequences of a poor body image might be? Right. So if we were to think about some of the consequences into the chat, what do we think? And Sharon is saying, me too. Yeah. And Jen is saying, and those numbers might be higher because some people might not admit to it. Spot on. Absolutely, Jen. So that's the minimum we can say. Yeah. But it's more than likely, it's much more than that. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, very good. So Jane is saying consequences, put weight on. Yeah, excellent. Because what do? We do our comfort eating to manage our poor body image. Yes. Depression, very good. Yeah, not ever feeling happy. Excellent. Low self-belief, very good. Yeah, becoming withdrawn. Yeah. And we can isolate ourselves then, which only ever adds fuel to the fire in that situation. Yeah. And negative self-talk, very good. Yeah. And we get stuck in that spiral. Self-loathing. Whoo. Yeah. That's a good one, Hayley. But yeah, very intense. And Jen, avoided going places, especially social situations. Excellent. Yeah. Or dating. Yeah. And again, in those scenarios where we assume somebody is going to judge us. Eating disorders. Yeah. Jennifer, absolutely. And Jane, becoming the person you think you can see in the mirror. Yeah. And again, it's that self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? Yeah. And Clarissa, relationship failure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we put all sorts of barriers between us and the other person. Again, because it's that fear of judgment and that fear of rejection. And then they take it personally, right? As we do as humans, we take other people's behavior personally when actually it's to do with them. Yeah, very good. Self-harm. Yeah. And again, with our unhealthy eating and cosmetic surgery, Sharon. Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at anxiety levels sort of pre-cosmetic surgery, and then you look at the anxiety levels post-cosmetic surgery, they actually tend to get worse. Unless it's the type of surgery where it's going to enhance somebody's life. You know, that type of surgery, we see a big drop in anxiety. But where it's purely cosmetic and it's done because I want to look X, Y, or Z, it actually tends to make you more anxious, because what you find is, well, I've changed how I look, but there hasn't actually been a big transformation in my life. Because then we have that realization of maybe there's more to life than just how I look, which there is. Yeah, very good. And career self-limitation, very good. Yeah, excellent. Holding ourselves back, don't put ourselves forward for promotions, things like that. Yeah. Very good. Okay. And then lastly, before we have our chat, what do we think impacts our body image? Thinking about, right, what might affect our body or our body image? Where might that negative body image come from? Right. So if we were to kind of think about the causes, what do we reckon? Things other people say. Yeah, very good. Media. Excellent. Yeah, a big one. Absolutely. Childhood, very good. Yeah, excellent. Spot on. Portrayal of female bodies in media, 100%. Yeah. Toys and adverts growing up, excellent. Yeah, very good. Spot on. And trying to be perfect. Yeah, very good. Your upbringing, excellent. Yeah, particularly if you're in an environment where body image is emphasized. So if you have a parent who's very into their, you know, perfect image, or I need to look a certain way, or, you know, a parent who's kind of fixated on their body image, we tend to become fixated on it too. Yeah, excellent. Very good. I've lost my comments. Parents' body image transference, excellent, Ruth. Yeah, 100%. Again, especially when we're young, we're like sponges. We're just picking up on, oh, body image seems to be really important to that person. It should probably be important to me too. And how do I fare out in comparison with them? Yeah, very good. Unkind remarks, very good. Yeah, excellent. Comparison to sisters and family, excellent. Yeah, so comparison, and particularly with people who we tend to be kind of closer with. Yeah. Very good. Excellent. Constant pressure from the world to look a certain way. Excellent. And particularly, yeah, it is particularly bad for women. The standards that are set for women are, I suppose, quite, well, not quite, completely unrealistic. And being much taller than friends, very good, yeah. And realizing that you weigh more and thinking you must be fat. So again, even just in terms of our comparisons then with our peers and things like that. Excellent. Very good. Well done, everybody. So you're absolutely right. Some of the 4 biggest sources of a negative body image: culture, number 1. And you all kind of hit on that. And again, these are all interconnected, but social media and what social media is saying is the way to look. Again, it's not written down anywhere. It's just what culture has decided at that moment in time. And there's all sorts of motivations for culture to change, and they don't tend to be good. And sometimes we do have good culture change, thankfully. But a lot of the times it can, unfortunately, be negative. And Haley's saying people who say something or do something that reinforces your belief about an image. Yeah, very good. Spot on. Excellent. And we've got friends and family. We mentioned there, particularly when we're younger, and if we have family members or friends who are preoccupied with their image, and then adverts, as we all talked about there, toys, all these different things. Yeah, very, very good. Okay, so what we're going to have a chat about in the breakout room briefly. So I want you to contemplate 2 questions. But equally, if you only have time to do one, that's fine. I know we're a little bit short on time. So in what ways can a negative body image impact on your healthy lifestyle goals? So thinking about all the goals that you are working on now, right? And how might having a negative body image impact on that? Okay. And then I want you to think of 1 or 2 ways in which we can improve our body image, right? So I want you to think about 1 or 2 ways in which a negative body image might impact the great work we're doing right at the moment in relation to our goals. And number 2, 1 or 2 things that we can do to improve our body image. Okay. Again, 1 or 2 things for both those questions is plenty. So I'm going to set up the rooms now, and we'll do 2. Okay, excellent. Okay, and away you go. You should have your invite there. Welcome back, everybody. How do we get on?
It's good. It was good. Lots of chat.
Lots of chat. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's go to room 2. And we had Haley, Jane, Jen, Ruth, and Sharon. Do you have a spokesperson?
Well, Jane has taken lots of notes, so
Go for it, Jane.
and has reviewed them for us, so she is primed to go ahead.
Go for it.
So when we talked about what ways can negative body image impact on our healthy lifestyle goals, the first one we said was not daring to go to the gym or to the swimming pool, being unable to kind of walk from the change rooms into the pool, being worried about being seen by others when you're actually exercising and being judged, or worrying that someone's going to come up and give you some well-meaning advice, having a bit of an imposter syndrome thing going on. I'm too fat to be here kind of thing.
Excellent.
So that's the first one.
Very good.
The second one was doing, right at the beginning of TSD, doing the weekly progress reports, getting your photograph taken.
Very good.
Was excruciating, and especially when you had to smile, and then getting weighed and measured is terrifying, because you feel so convinced that you're not going to have done very well that at the start, but eventually that gets better
and you get used to it and you get comfortable with it. Very good.
To that. Yeah. And then we also mentioned unhealthy dieting, so constantly doing really bad diets, so causing eating disorders and metabolism issues, and also mental health issues, it causing depression, feelings of failure and anxiety.
Very good. Yeah. Excellent.
Do you want me to answer the second question yet, or are you going to go?
Can you give it to me in 10 seconds?
Yeah, so seeing progress and recognizing and celebrating it daily, wins, working on psychological techniques for self-esteem, self-talk, and being in a like-minded group.
Excellent. Oh, very good recommendations. Excellent. Fantastic. Well done, room 2. Okay. And room 1, do you have a spokesperson? Benny, Clarissa, Deborah, Jennifer, and Sashi?
I think they've nominated me because I was talking in the breakout room.
Go for it, Deborah. You got 2 minutes. Go
Right.
for
Okay.
it.
So we were saying one of the worst things is actually comparing yourself to others. So comparing yourself to friends, to family, because you might take after one side of the family and everybody else takes after the other side of the family. Getting given nicknames and just like laughing and going along with it, even though inside it's absolutely devastating, but you just don't want to show that, and so then you just you just take it on and you live with that for the rest of your life, and then it still has an impact on you. It affects like your relationship with your partners and things, because you're feeling like you don't want to flash your flesh, you don't want to, even you're trying to snuggle up and hold your stomach in at the same time, which is pretty impossible to do.
Trying to be vulnerable while protecting yourself.
So like and you feel vulnerable, and also based on my knowledge of when I speak to people about collaborations and things, you're missing out on having family photos and having photos to look back on, treasured memories, because actually you're not in any bloody photos, because you're the one who's made the decision to take the photo. So it looks like I wasn't around when I had my kids little, because like there's hardly any photos of me, or if there is, they're on my knee, or I've got something chin up. That would be my thing. Chin up only. I don't want nothing else. Chin up. So like you haven't got those like you haven't, you can't look back on photos and things because you're not in them. And what I said, that what I was trying to do, because I have been working on body image, is that the positive things, what I'm trying to do is focus on the changes what I have made and what they are enabling me to do. And the other thing I said was like, actually looking this sounds creepy, but I did look at myself in the mirror the other day, and I just thought, I actually start to feel like a woman now. And I probably never felt like that for a long time, and I just thought that's what I need to think. And I just think, I'm curvy, that's fine. I've got 2 6-foot sons, my stomach helped to carry them, and I should be proud of that. So I just try to, I'm obsessed with my stomach, but I've just tried to put a bit more of a positive spin on things. And like even comparing height and things, like if you're small, you're uncomfortable. If you're tall, you're uncomfortable. We always want we always want what we haven't got, basically. We always wanting something else. So if you change one thing, you're not going to be happy with something else. So it's just constantly chasing your tail, I guess, with body image.
So and that's it. It's acceptance, it's right or wrong, but it's getting to a place, like you said, where we recognize our strengths and we recognize what we like about ourselves. We recognize we're going to be different for somebody and we're going to look different from that person, but it doesn't mean that we're less valuable or they're more valuable, and vice versa. Yeah, very good. Well done, everybody. Excellent stuff. And it was so great to see you all. Well done on the great work since I saw you last. And I shall see you again in 2 weeks' time. And I look forward to seeing you then.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Really good.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Oh,